Hi everyone, Melissa here, and I am back with a new doll video. You ready to get into it? Let's go. Today I'm remaking this Draculaura into a classic anime favorite of mine, Bulma from Dragon Ball. While Bulma has a plethora of outfits to choose from to recreate, I chose to recreate the look she wore when she first meets Goku. It's such an iconic look for her and really stood out to me when I was rewatching the Dragon Ball series earlier this year. To get started, let's give this doll a factory reset with a little haircut, a little spa treatment, and a good old-fashioned head removal. Time to remove her brains and her makeup. Much better with a clean face, darling. For this project, I wanted to try my hand at rerooting a doll, as it's something I've never done before. I purchased nylon doll hair from Shimmerlocks in the color Desert Jewel, formerly known as Firefly. I actually found the process of rerooting very meditative, I guess, and really enjoyed it and definitely going to want to do it on further projects. So I did forget to paint the head and had to do that midway through. But at least I got it done. Once the reroot was complete, I applied a liberal amount of Fabrictac into the doll head to seal in that hair to make sure it wouldn't come out. Then I sanded down her ears so they wouldn't be so pointy and be a nice kind of rounded, larger ear that actually works well for Dragon Ball characters. After a layer of Mr. Super Clear, it was time to paint the face, starting with chalk pastels. First, I had to cancel out the pink color of the plastic, and I did that with some green. And then to start building the skin color, I added yellow next, and then some orangish brown. And finally, a little bit of a light pink. Next, I wanted to start building up some of the shadows and depths of the face sculpt with a little bit of a rust color and pink, concentrating here in the eye folds, the nose, the mouth, the ears, and the hairline. After many, many layers, I was able to build up to a skin tone I was pretty happy with and able to do some final blushing on the face. And now it's time to start giving Bulma her face. To do this, I draw on the doll head using my watercolor pencils. I like to use a deep red color to start my eye shape. I feel using a red as a base color really brings some warmth and life to the eye overall. Once my eye shape is in place, I start laying down the interior eye color using white and a light blue color. Now I can go in with my black color pencil and start laying down some nice anime style eyeliner. And if you're enjoying this video, please subscribe. I'm very close to reaching my 1,000 subscriber goal, and every click helps me get there. Next, using a brown color, I draw lines in the upper eye area of the eye to create some eye folds, and on the lower part of the eye to create a waterline. For her eyebrows, I use a little bit of chalk pastel to tap in the shape of her eyebrow and clean up the edges with my eraser. I add some individual hairs using my blue watercolor pencil, and then also add a little bit of white on the underside to merely make them sharp and pop. Now I know Bulma doesn't have freckles, but I felt her skin needed a little texture, so I just tapped my pencil very lightly on her cheeks to create some faux freckles, and I really do love how it turned out. Next up was her eyelashes, and on the upper ones I just went in with the black, but on the lower ones I did go in with a little bit of brown first to create some shadow before adding the black on top. And to finish up our face up, I went in with just a little bit more blue to make that iris pop in the inside of the eye. and I also went in with a little bit of white too to really make them pop. And with that, our face up is complete. On to hairstyling. Luckily, Bulma's hairstyle isn't too complex here. I first left out some pieces for her little wispies in the front and then pulled the rest of her hair up into a high ponytail and braided the remainder of the hair. For the red bow, I repurposed this doll top and removed the straps and glued the sides down so it would have a thinner band instead of this really thick one. To attach the bow to the hair, I just glued it in place with a little bit of hot glue. Bulma's head is almost complete. Now I just have to style these little wispies in place. I first cut these to length and then used a little bit of steam to kind of train the fiber into the direction. I add a little gel, and this is the completed face up of our doll. Next up, let's get working on the body. Since Bulma's shoes are rather unique, I decided to just sculpt the shoes directly onto the body. To help keep the shoes symmetrical, I added Worbla to the bottom of the feet to build a base and a heel for my shoe. With the Worbla in place to use as a guide, I can now add Epoxy Sculpt around the foot to start building up my shoe shape. Once I had a shoe shape I was happy with, I started adding details to the shoes around the heels and on the front of the shoe. When the uppers of the shoes had cured, I added a sole to the shoe as well using Epoxy Sculpt. For Bulma's watch, I used a strip of Worbla for the band. And then added a bead of epoxy on top and sculpted a watch face. For her one glove, I decided to just sculpt the cuff onto the arm and then later on down the line paint both the cuff and her hand to match so it would give the illusion that she is wearing a glove. Now that all the sculpting on the body is complete, it's time to paint her. And just like I did for the head, I had to cancel out the pink plastic color with green first, and then yellow next. And then the orangish brown to really bring in some depth to the body. And finally, some rust color and bright pink to blush the body even further. At first, I didn't think I really made a difference in the color of the body, but I quickly changed my mind when I held the two bodies side by side. Next up were the shoes, and I started with a white base in acrylic. I then added a dark teal for the base and a light teal for the middle of the shoe. With the flat colors in place, it's time to add some depth to these tootsies. I added some of the dark teal to the center details and black to the style lines that I added earlier during the sculpting process. I also added some watered down black acrylic to the crevices to bring out some of the details of the front of the shoes, and as a wash on the side of the shoes to make it a little bit more worn and lived in. And a little before and after of the weathering of the shoes. And lastly, a little gloss varnish on top of the white sections of the shoes so that it looks really shiny. Up next was to sew Bulma's dress, which actually took quite a bit of trial and error in the patterning stages of the dress. And it took me quite a while to find something I liked, but the perseverance paid off and I was very happy with the final result of the dress. I also dyed the dress a little bit of a brighter pink just to make it stand out a little bit more. For the name on her dress, I drew it out on my tablet and then printed it out on heat transfer paper and attached it to the front using my iron. And here's the finished dress. I also sewed up a scarf for her and some sock cuffs to make it look like she has socks on underneath her shoes. To finish up Bulma's outfit, I needed to make her utility belt. To start with, I used some Epoxy Sculpt to make her little side peg. To make her holster gun, I started with a basic gun shape in Epoxy Sculpt. I didn't spend much time detailing the gun since I knew it would be covered in Worbla to create the rest of the holster. But I tried to add a few little details here and there that I knew you would see peeking out of the holstered portion. Once the gun was made, I covered it in Worbla, heating it up to smooth out the seams and add some additional details. Once the gun was complete, I used a strip of Worbla to attach it to the rest of the belt. Using some Epoxy Sculpt, I attached the little pouch I made earlier to the belt, and I also made a little belt buckle. Now that the belt is complete, it's time to start painting. And once the flat colors of the belt was laid down, I started going in and weathering the different areas, much how I did the shoes, doing some washes in black and wiping off the excess. And the finishing detail for the belt was to add a little bit of gloss varnish to the gun and to the belt buckle. And here is the completed belt. And my Bulma doll wasn't quite complete until I made her iconic dragon radar, so I made one using Epoxy Sculpt once again. Once the radar was painted, I added little yellow gems to look like little pings on the dragon radar. And since I had already made the dragon radar, I thought, why not make some Dragon Balls as well? So I made some using UV resin and embedded little red star glitters to make the stars on the Dragon Balls. And with that, Bulma is complete. It's time for the reveal. And before you go, I wanted to share something very exciting. I'm now streaming live on Twitch where I work on dolls in real time. If you'd like to hang out and see the entire creative process, come join me Sunday through Wednesday from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll find a link in the description below. But that's it for today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe as I work my way to 1,000 subscriber goal. But take care, cuties, and I'll see you in the next one.